All right, welcome back to the conversation. Now, I want to switch gears and talk matters aviation as I had earlier on promised. Of course, my guest is already in studio, none other than Karanja Ndegwa, who is the CEO of Jambojet, one of Kenya's leading low-cost carrier at the moment, which I've just confirmed they control about 52% of the market share, which is more than half of all traffic. Last year, you will remember they hit that 1 million mark in terms of customer and passengers who flew with Jambojet. Karibu to the program.
Asante sana, Jimmy.
All right, first things first. I know it's a bit cold, but how are the skies?
At least the skies are warm. We can say that we are having a good year, better year than last year. We can tell tourists are slightly higher. And we are looking forward to the second half of the year.
All right, so the low-cost airline space is one that not so many Kenyans have really understood the concept, and that's why we want to have that conversation today. Just looking from the basic things, when you look at how Jambojet does their ticketing, and I'm sure this is a model that maybe has been done somewhere else. Help us understand that process so that we can understand what exactly is a low-cost airline for our viewers who might want to have that conversation but are not really sure what does that really mean for me.
Okay, thank you, Jimmy. The low-cost carrier model is it's an aspect whereby how do you lower your costs in a given way, pass that to the customer, and you're able to have more passengers flying because of the pricing that you offer. Mm-hmm. And what the low-cost model indicates is that there are some factors, especially like if you look at the booking engine, you find most of our passengers book online. You end up having one type of fleet. Mm-hmm. And by having one type of fleet, you end up lowering your costs because your trainings, your spares, your trainings for the pilots, cabin crew, and the maintenance staff is one. Yeah. You are able to concentrate on having at least fewer spares because you are having one type of equipment, and you're able to maximize on that. And with that, the second thing that the low-cost carrier does is that aircraft should be able to be flown as many times as the highest number of hours. Yeah. Because, for example, for Jambojet, we lease the aircraft. We don't own any of them, but the lease costs are fixed. So the more you fly, the cheaper it is. So for one aircraft, we plan every month to fly about 200 hours. Mm-hmm. So you find with that lease, with the lease, that divided by 200, you find per hour the costs are lower. So with this, you are able to pass this cost that you have to the customer. And also, the other thing is that we have is that out of automation, we have a lot of innovation in place. Yeah. About 63% of our passengers book online. Mm-hmm. And with that, you find that also lowers the booking costs. And with this, you're able to share, to spread less, to share more. Yeah. And pass this on to the customer. And you find with that, we are able to really activate markets. Okay. And we are in markets to grow. We don't get in there markets to eat into customers, other competitors' market share. Yeah. But we move into markets to grow them. That's a low-cost model, and you find that's why it's the fastest growing model when it comes to the aviation industry.
Yeah, it's actually something that we are seeing a lot of Kenyans now embracing the use of aircraft. They're taking a flight from here to Kisumu, from here to Mombasa. Now, the question that I'm sure rings in the mind of so many of our viewers is then, how do low-cost airlines make money compared to conventional airlines? If you're saying it's a low-cost model, how do you then make business sense?
For us, what you have to do is that you have to get that balance, the price that works and leaves you with a margin, and highly utilize these equipments. This is with also lots of training of the people that you have, more technology, more innovation within the business. So what we do is that with a low-cost carrier, you find, for example, we use the Dash 8Q400 aircraft that is from the de Havilland. And with this type of equipment, you find per hour, we consume about 940 liters of fuel, compared to the jets that will consume 2,300, 2,400 liters an hour. So in that aspect, you end up saving so much in terms of fuel. So, and also you find also their leases are cheaper given the type of equipment, because for us it's a turboprop. So with that, we end up, our cost of operations become less. We also don't we sell something to bite on board, because in the morning some people don't want to eat, so we will have charged you in your fare something that maybe you don't want to have. So, and it's not expensive. So at the end of the day, we work with a partner that brings something to bite on board, and then we reconcile at the end of the day. So with all these aspects, you find we end up lowering our costs, charging less, having more people access the flight. Because in the first year, that we started operating, 30% of our passengers had never flown. And ours is, how do we keep this growing? We have had markets now double since we started in 2014. So with us is, how do you keep pushing? How do you keep flying more? We fly 8 times to Mombasa. With this, you find each aircraft has to do about 4 return flights. With that definitely lowers the costs.
All right, and this is something that you've actually touched on, which is the issue of leasing your aircraft. Maybe you can just talk us through the leasing process, the cost of that leasing, and for how long do you maybe lease this aircraft?
Okay. For leases, what you do is that you work with the manufacturer, the OEMs, and what you do is that as an airline, you have specification given the region that you are in, the number of seats that you need, so with all that, you will be given a price. Out of that price that you're given for that equipment, you pass it on to the lessors, and the lessors are going to quote and say, for this price that you have been given by the OEM, given your specification, it will cost the OEM X amount. For a new equipment, we go for 10 years leases, and that is spread now. They will give you a rate. Lessors will come in and quote and give the rates that work. So you will be able to pick out of that the one that gives you the best rates. And also, there are also a number of factors that you look at, so that's how the whole process is. But in a nutshell, it all starts with the airline that identifies, I want the equipment to look like this, and I need all these things in place. So that's a process. There are quite a number of lessors, and especially like if you look at the Bombardier, you find some of the biggest leasing companies are from Canada, because they get lots of support also from their government, and they're able to lease much more number of Q400s worldwide from that country. And with that, you find they become among the very best to issue, because you also need to look at how are they going to support us in terms of the spare parts, in terms of our trainings, in terms of, so those are the other aspects that we look at. It comes in as a full package, and so that's what we enter. You find like even the simulator, the training simulator that we have here in Kenya, that is with the assistance of the manufacturer, and in there, so you have to continuously work close with them, and that's the whole process that we have to go through to bring an aircraft on board there.
All right. Before we talk about the issue of revenue streams, we know that fuel cost is one of the biggest headache within the aviation industry. How have you adapted so far?
It's been last year was one of the toughest years when it comes to fuel, because about 24% of our fuel costs were of our costs were fuel. Previously, it used to be about 17, but you can tell this has moved up. So what we have had to do is that generally we had to increase the passenger prices, and we were assessing and asking ourselves, you're in a place whereby economically you still want to encourage the same number of people or more people to fly. So but you can't even pass all the full costs. So internally, we also ask ourselves, what are the things that we need to do? So there's quite a number of innovations that also have taken place, that bringing in the aircraft maintenance in-house.
Yeah.
So that also brought in some savings, and that we are able to balance the two. You find, as of now, the thing is that to continuously, because we don't hedge, what we do is that because of less forward bookings, we're able to see how much, where should this price be, given the expected price movements.
Yeah.
So that, because also you also need to ensure that we are there tomorrow. So in essence, we are continuously working from two fronts. How much can we pass to the passenger, and how much can we absorb internally?
Okay.
This year, we have seen ourselves increase the prices by about 400 shillings. So we will see continuously, keep working on it, and once the prices come down, we bring down the prices again.
All right. Now, there's the question of our contribution to the aviation sector. When you look at the entire continent of Africa, we contribute less than 5% in terms of traffic. So from where you sit, what are some of the reasons that is still holding Africa back? And particularly when you look within the East African region, what needs to change to make the aviation sector contribute more?
You find one of the aspects is that, of course, the economic aspect, the per capita. So you find it's quite lower in the African region than in other parts of the world. So you find more people can afford compared to Africa. The second part is within the African countries, there's much more domestic travel compared to the regional travel. One of the reasons is the tax. You find, for example, in Kenya, the domestic tax is 600 shillings. But the international tax, it doesn't matter whether you're going to the US or you're going to Entebbe or Dar es Salaam, you pay $50. So this is Nairobi to for example, to Entebbe. Yeah. $50 and then 58 from Entebbe to Nairobi. So that passenger will have paid 108 in terms of taxes. If you compare to Europe, inter-Europe, it's about €4 from France to the UK. So you find they have made the regional, they have taxes for the domestic, which are close to the regional, and then they have now outside. So within Africa, we have to figure out how can we also within the East African, I normally say let's start from East African community. How can we just have domesticate this regional taxes, uplift taxes? That really opens up the region, and you'll have more people flying. Yeah, there are quite a number of people from Uganda who want to have a holiday, or Rwanda or DRC who want to have a holiday in our coast. So ours will be here to move them, but by how much? Because the hotels really need these people, and there we'll be able to make sure that at least we're able to fly more people. So for me, that is one of the aspects. We also need to open up the regions, because you find we have quite a number of bilateral agreements, the BASAs, and you only allowed a number of frequencies between countries. The moment that is opened up, you allow more players just to fly between one region to another, then you'll be able to move much more. Yeah.
All right, so if that is addressed, maybe by what margins are we looking in terms of revenue growth for these airlines, even as we wrap up this conversation?
To me, this will double, triple. In the world, you find, if you compare the population, in African population, compared to the 2% that we contribute to flying, we have so much potential. I think for me, this will be triple within a span of 5 years. The market size would triple. I normally say, if you look at Kenya, every day, Jambo Jet will fly to Mombasa 8 times. But flying from Entebbe to Mombasa I believe there are quite a number of Ugandans who want to go and visit the coast.
Yeah.
But if Kenya, you're able to do 8 in one day, you can't be able to get 1 or 2 from Uganda or from DRC that has over 100 million people compared to 60 in Kenya. So the thing is that by opening it up, that will definitely increase the frequencies, lower the taxes. Definitely for me, I do believe we'll be able to triple the market size.
All right, in one word, I know my director is feeling like biting my head off, but in one word, how does the future look like for the aviation industry?
I think for me, the future looks quite bright because from the Jumbo Jet's perspective, we've had good profitable years, and then definitely COVID years we were hit. And we were hoping last year we were going to move back to profitability, but this year we are definitely on our way back to profitability. But what I see is that I see at least growth. People, I see more passengers flying than before. Last year we flew 1 million passengers compared to 730 in 2019. This year will be much more, moves to about 1.2. So you can tell the numbers, there are more and more people willing to fly. So I can tell it's an industry that will continuously grow.
And of course, these are conversations that we can go on and on and on about. Of course, the issue of open skies is a big one, but we'll need to have a different setup for that conversation. Thank you so much for making time for us. Unfortunately, we've run out of time for business today, and that's how we want to wrap up this conversation. View KTN is up next. My name is Jimmy Mbogo. Thank you for watching. Let's do this again soon.